I'd like to ask our colleagues to please stand for the invocation by Genevieve Phelps, County Technician for Controller's Office. Please remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Lord, we come before you, for this is the day that the Lord has made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for waking us up this morning. We have so much to be thankful for. And also, I like to lift up every board member and chairperson that you give them wisdom and guidance through all the business that takes place today. I also just want to praise you today. I ask that you pour your covering over this place from the front to the back, that your angels be encamped around this building, and we give you all the honor and praise in the name of our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Please join us in the pledge to our great nation's flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Genevieve. Now I'm going to opening comments by members of the board. There's a screen up here so I can see who's requesting.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chair. We're very happy that UC Riverside, led by our great Chancellor Timothy White, was able to cop a real terrific project with eventually 600 high-paying jobs here, and there's a lot of important publicity, and I think they're going to be announcing within a short period of time the actual location in the West End County of this new accounting, payroll, and personnel center for the UC Riverside system. One of the things that impressed me, that it's projected to save the university system a considerable amount of dollars. The figure 100 million was used, I don't know over what period, but it's interesting to me to see that this is going to be an important example that we can show other prospective businesses in the private sector that you can relocate or expand in Riverside County and save money and yet still provide critical job opportunities and potentially higher paying opportunities for our workforce. So I think it is important not only in and of itself, but in the example that it shows here. And I know our economic development staff, back all our staff, are trying to work on every possible angle to expand better quality jobs here. Second, and we heard a lot about the important work that the Department of Mental Health does and how much and if you could call it the natural rate of mental illness is exacerbated by drug use and overuse here. It should not go without notice that our Department of Mental Health had the grand opening of another project called Vintage at Snowberry. It's within the city limits of Riverside. And it is for recovering mentally ill, and it has good managerial oversight so that those tenants can be helped when needed. It is the largest so far of 7 affordable housing projects. And I know there's another very successful one in the county farm area that the Department of Mental Health has sponsored, and they were able to fund it through a $1.5 million grant from the Mental Health Services Act. So these are very important ventures in the department, and I can recall, in the early '80s when there was a virtual uproar in one neighborhood because there was then a house, a small unit, being projected for helping recovering mentally ill. Nowadays, it's never the case. In fact, our departments do such a good job with the neighborhood that there is even more tranquility throughout the city, in fact, in Western County, because of their efforts like these. So we wish them well, and wish the tenants well also. I also had the opportunity to actually go out and see one of the 14 probation department kiosks where probationers can check in. And it really is a marvel, a really ingenious tool that our probation department and its staff was able to develop. And of course, it got a CSAC award. But when you actually go out and see it, you understand it has a lot more versatility than you might think. I won't go on all the particulars, but what it really does, it frees up our highly trained probation officers to really concentrate their efforts where they're needed the most, and then allow the routine probationers great efficiencies so it doesn't disrupt their lives or their work in order to meet their obligations of checking in. And so I hope we can continue to invest in these programs. They're the ones that are going to save us a lot of dollars and save a lot of lives over the long term here. And finally, the city of Riverside, and I think we also helped with this effort, welcome Crystal Pacific Window and Door System and the Chen family at a grand opening in the former Fleetwood building. So you're getting reuse of some of these former industrial buildings, and that's good to see. This company is a national leader in energy efficient windows, and it employs about 600 employees across the nation. And here they plan to create between 200 and 300 jobs. So those are good, good economic news and good social news here in the county.
Thank you, Supervisor Buster. Any others? I will mention that this last week we had some great Cinco de Mayo events throughout the county. I attended one in Moreno Valley and also in Riverside, as I know Supervisor Buster did. There was also a very nice one at the Janikowski Senior Center on Friday, and want to compliment all of those. I know Corona had their main parade, and that was also very nice. So we thank the communities for celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Now, I'd also like to announce that we, this weekend, Saturday, we have two events. One, High Grove Days, that is High Grove just north of the city of Riverside, put on every year, well-turned-out event to celebrate the community of High Grove. Everyone is invited, lots of vendors, lots of activities, so we hope that you will take advantage. It's supposed to be a very nice day. And then also at, that starts at 9 a.m., sponsored by the Economic Development Agency. Both of these are sponsored by the Economic Development Agencies, as well as this next one by Riverside County Library System and our private library, LSSI operator. This is at the Lewis Ruben Oak Library. It's a library computer lab talking about to help with library basics, and internet safety family workshops. So anyone is interested, who is interested, Rebecca, we hope you can show up there and provide some of your expertise that we know you have in computers from 10:30 to 11:30 at the Ruben Oak Library. So we thank all of you for allowing us to announce this, and we hope that you will show up. Any other comments? Then we'll go into our executive officer and then the budget.
It's just nice to see Mr. Johnson at the table up front. So he has a new seat in the board. Well,
Yes, George Johnson, congratulations. Our new CEO, deputy CEO. Is that deputy or assistant? Assistant? Number two, basically, number two top dog in the county. Good job, well served. Congratulations. And then just a quick Juan Perez, who has been the director of transportation, will continue to be the director for a while of transportation. At this point, he's now interim director of our transportation Transportation Land Management Agency, which consists of all the agencies, planning, economics, planning, transportation, what am I missing? Building and safety, thank you. There's so few permits. Okay, just a very quick budget update. Yeah, we do have a very quick budget update. The May revise, as you know, is ahead of us soon. The governor is likely going to make some more cuts. They are down, I think, depending on what day you talk to them in Sacramento, $3, $4, $5 billion in their projections. So unfortunately, that's going to cause further impacts, I believe, to county services and education. It's a tough road ahead. The legislature is not making the cuts where they need, and the revenue obviously is just not coming in. There's also new legislation that's moving forward. I think it goes today before appropriations to help fund, I believe it's SB 1566, to help fund the 4 cities that lost the DLF. That will give a permanent funding mechanism to them through some unrelated realignment dollars, and it will be provided through the vehicle transport, the DMV administrative fee. That's going to be a tough road ahead for them, but hopefully we can get the governor to sign up on that so these 4 cities can survive. Supervisor Benoit.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, I had a conversation with a member, actually this morning on the way in, and he had the speaker and a number of other members over his home last night. And the number they're working from is $9 billion. That includes the $3 billion in revenue shortage that was noted in April, below expectations, along with ongoing out of balance line items in the budget. And I encouraged him to talk to his colleagues about how the fact that we've done our share, we can't do any more. Counties have already been grossly impacted, and it's going to be a bad year. And of course, the speaker was. I won't quote anybody in particular because I would be out of order there. But the general consensus was that it all rides on the November initiative, and there's not a lot of optimism that people of the state of Riverside or state of California, given our unemployment rate and other factors about the economy, are going to likely want to vote for more taxes. And if that doesn't happen, the implications are even worse. So it's a bad sense up there. And the other thing that happened last week in Sacramento, apparently the houses were going to get together and have a joint conference committee on RDA, and hopefully work together to come up with some short-term fixes of some of the key issues that we all know are wrong in the legislation in AB 2627 from last year. That fell apart. There will be no conference committee between the 2 houses for RDA. So not a lot of good news coming out of Sacramento, and that's not really, I guess, a surprise. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you. That's so it's $4 billion plus the 6 or so, 5 or so, whatever. Okay. Supervisor Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to piggyback on some of the comments that were made with respect to the state budget. We've seen consistently, year after year, that the state is $6 to $10 billion in the hole, and there's this wild expectation that it's just going to solve itself through higher taxation. Citizens have stepped up to the ballot in many of our local jurisdictions and throughout the state and have voted down many taxes, including public safety taxes. I think many citizens and businesses feel they're taxed enough and that the state hasn't done their job in reducing the size of government, enacting pension reforms like local government has done. I just want to share one story. I have a property in another state that has been leased out for many years, and my tenant decided to leave, and my family decided that we're going to utilize it as a little vacation home. And so we were moving things out to this property, and we wanted to get a one-way truck. And when we got the bill for the one-way truck, I about, as we say in Yiddish, platzt. I just couldn't believe that it was so expensive. And I asked the rent-a-car place, which is a national rent-a-car place, why the heck is it so expensive to go one way? It's cheaper for me to go round trip. And he says, well, sir, the problem is that there is a flight out of California. And we can't get the trucks back here fast enough for people that are moving out of this state. And that is a theme that has been going on for the past few years, where we see very lucrative, well-run, profitable companies that have been lured out of this state to other states such as Texas, Nevada, Colorado, where the citizens that move can find homes at a reasonable price. They don't have the excessive taxation and regulations that they have in the state of California. They're talking about getting building permits in some of these states in 4 weeks. And as a result, we are going to see a permanent change in the state of California's economy. So we see this $8 to $9 billion shortfall. I don't believe that the governor's tax bills are going to pass. And it's going to force the state, finally, hopefully, to do what they need to do. We're pushing them in a corner where they're going to have to reduce the size of state government. They're going to have to ease up in regulations so that businesses will not continue to fly out of the state. And hopefully provide some type of an incentive plan to cure the damage, which I think is going to take decades to cure, in bringing jobs back to the ones that live in the state. I have no plans on running for state office. This is not a soapbox I'm standing on here today, but we can be prepared, not just this year, but for many years to come, to deal with shortfalls and taking more local control over issues, because the state funding isn't going to be there. And I'm hoping that our citizens will get strongly involved in this year's elections and really hold people's feet to the ground that are running for office, especially state office and federal office, and ask them, what are they going to do to straighten out this state? Because we're really cheating our kids that are going to have to pay higher tuitions. We're cheating parents like myself whose children and grandchildren are considering moving out of state. And we are still in a state crisis. And I'm hoping that the governor will wake up one day and recognize that if he wants to have a lasting legacy in his second full term in the governorship of the state of California, it would be a nice legacy if he could do the reforms necessary in the state to put us back on the path of prosperity. But Mr. Chair, we can be prepared for these type of shortfalls for many years to come. And as a part of our long-term strategic plan in the county, we need to prepare for these hits that we're going to have to deal with.
Thank you, Supervisor Stone. Couldn't agree with you more. I don't see the legislature making the cuts. In fact, I see them holding up in hopes that the governor's tax increase is approved, so they can just continue to spend that without cuts. I failed to mention on Thursday, I believe it was, there was a National Day of Prayer breakfast held at the Benedict Canyon, which is an old facility here run by Teen Challenge in Riverside. All the clergy from around the community and community leaders were there, and I had the opportunity of attending. It was just very, very nice. Jerry from the DA's office, who does the youth, Jerry Lopez, thank you. I was having in mind blank here. Jerry Lopez was the keynote speaker who works with our youth and just did a tremendous, very moving job on behalf of all of the community, and DA's office should be very proud of that young man. So thank you. That will now take us into our agenda and any changes, deletions, or corrections. Sherry.
Good morning, members of the board. Additions are items 3.25 through 3.26, A2 and A3. Deletion of item 9.4. Corrections to continue item 9.1 to June 5th, 2012. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. All right, with that, I'm going to move the admin action calendar and the consent calendar 2-1 through 2-9. Motion and a second, please vote. Supervisor, okay. Motion carries 4-0. Again, Supervisor Ashley is absent today due to working on some water issues up in Sacramento. That takes us into our policy calendar. We have items that have been pulled. Items 3-1. These are by speakers. Request to speak. Items 3-1, 3-9, 3.23, and 3.26. So without, unless there are any items by members of the board to be discussed, seeing none, we have a motion. I'll second the motion for the balance of the calendar. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Taking us to our first speaker on item 3-1. Gary Grant.
Mr. Chair, I have to open issue.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. Supervisor, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. It is out of frustration that I have placed this item on the agenda. When I was first elected to Temecula City Council in November of 1992 and seated in December of 1993, within 3 weeks of being placed on the City Council, we had a national flooding disaster, which many of you that were in the area remember. The Murrieta Creek crested. There were 4 feet of water in our Old Town area. There were a number of lives that were lost. And it created tremendous anger and angst in the community because at that time, the federal government would not allow us to go into the creek to remove a lot of growth and debris that was basically creating a dam. And that's why the creek overflowed. We have had many meetings over the past 20 years that I was on the council, not only with the city of Temecula, but with the city of Murrieta to address creek improvements. We have lobbied hard in Congress to get the funding, which is about $90 million to provide for the ultimate improvements. A number of our residents in Temecula and Murrieta, because their properties are technically in a floodplain, have to pay exorbitant insurance to FEMA every year, thousands of dollars on properties amounting to millions of dollars. We have successfully been able to get Congress to pass a project. We have a project that's been approved by the federal government, by Congress. The problem is that we haven't been able to get the allocation to get the project started. Developers have paid developer fees, flood control fees that have now accumulated to about $32 million. I mentioned the ultimate project is about $87–90 million, which includes about $15 million in recreational components. I have met with the cities of Temecula and Murrieta recently, along with members of our congressional delegation, and I have expressed my disappointment that our federal delegation has yet to be successful in getting the appropriate allocations from Congress to get these improvements underway. It was decided at the last meeting that we had within the past 60 days that we should move forward on our own with our $32 million. Not only will that create jobs immediately, but it's going to provide for a very important public safety infrastructure necessity that we need in southwest Riverside County. I had the opportunity yesterday to talk with Councilman Ben Benoit from the city of Wildomar, and I explained to him a little bit of history of the creek, and he said, please include the city of Wildomar as a part of that joint powers. And so, as a part of the resolution on line 25, now therefore let it resolve that the county of Riverside, the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and Wildomar will form a joint powers authority that will work with flood control to retrieve the plans from the Army Corps of Engineers, because the plans still have not been completed and we're not sure at what stage they are to be completed. And our flood control staff will complete those plans, and then we will put it out to bid, hopefully no later than mid-2013, and get these important creek improvements in phase 2 and phase 3, which are critical, I think, to abating a national disaster that could potentially happen in the near future. A 100-year flood we have not seen in probably about 80 years in the county, although the flood in January 1993 was a big one. We're due for a big one, and so I want to make it also clear that we're not closing the door with the Army Corps of Engineers. We actually met with them at the last joint city council meetings in Myriad and Temecula, and we asked them, why aren't we getting the funding? They were the beneficiaries of over $100 million already allocated to them by Congress. And their critique was that the project isn't scoring high enough. Now, I don't know, Congress seems to get things backwards. You think that they would be in a prophylactic mood of trying to repair things so that we don't have injuries. In January of 1993, FEMA spent millions of dollars repairing the damage that otherwise could have been prevented. The good thing that came out of the January 1993 floods is that we were then allowed to go into the creek with tractors with rubber tires so that we could clear all the debris that was really part of the problem and why the flooding disaster happened. But we've all drawn a line in the sand, that is my colleagues from the cities and myself. We want to work with flood control. We want to get these improvements going in phase 2 and phase 3. We want to continue to work with the Army Corps and our congressional delegation to try to get further funding, because we still need funding for the final phases of the project. But 2 and 3 are really the rate limiting step, I believe, to protecting the communities of Wildomar, Murrieta, and Temecula. And so, Mr. Chair, I hope that the board will support this resolution 2012-129, creating a Murrieta Creek Joint Powers Authority, again, including the city of Wildomar. The cities of Murrieta and Temecula already have the same resolution agendized for their city councils to adopt. We'll certainly forward that to the city of Wildomar. It's my expectation that there will be a unanimous vote among those cities to jumpstart, fast track, and get these flooding improvements in place.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Stone. Seconded, we do have a motion seconded by Supervisor Benoit. We do have a public speaker on this one, and that is Mr. Grant.